Hello and welcome. I'm Megan. I'm a photographer and watercolor artist with chronic health challenges, POTS, and restraint issues. I want to encourage you and for you to see what is possible. I ended up in bed with a migraine my second day ever of painting. I learned very quickly, out of necessity, how to paint anywhere. I am at the core a plein air painter. Plein air is the European term for painting outside. It's where you get some travel supplies and go somewhere and paint, and there are a lot of similarities between that and traveling to your bed to paint. I usually end up with a minimal setup, a small palette, a little book, and a travel water container. If you have health challenges too, look up travel supplies and how people plein air watercolor. It can give you ideas on how to paint from bed, or in a car, or in a doctor's office, or while traveling. It's only recently that I started using a desk. I tried attaching the phone mount to a lap desk to film painting, and it created the most wobbly, shaky footage. So now I'm at a desk in the corner of the living room, but I've taken my plein air mindset with me. You notice I paint a lot with my travel brush. It's probably the brush I use the most. If you stick with mostly one brush for months, you will learn it really well. You can use regular sized brushes in a brush roll and just set it next to your bed. Another thing that could be challenging about painting from bed is water. Just hold the water container in your hand. I started with an old Juice Plus container for the water. Apparently, it holds water. I think there's a picture of it on my blog. Now I use an Nalgene bottle. I used to set it up on a lap desk. I got tired of setting up the lap desk. You won't spill the water if you hold it in your hand. I only ever spilled water once, all over the lap desk and my lap and the sofa. It was cold. At least it was fresh water and not dirty painting water. Poor sofa. After that, I always hold the water in my hand. I still paint like this in bed most mornings or before bed. I've started using the 4-ounce Nalgene instead of the 2-ounce since it's easier to get the brush in and rinse it. But I used to use the 2-ounce Nalgene for painting for a long time. Worked just fine. I got them on Amazon. I hope they're still available. I'll look for a link for it and put it in the description for you. I know it doesn't leak. I've done some things with it. I kind of packed it in my suitcase full of water. It'll be fine. I wasn't going to get up and go empty it while I was in the middle of packing. That takes energy. It didn't leak. It was fine. When you are using it to paint in bed, only fill it half full. That makes it easier so that you don't have the water too close to the top of the container. It also makes it lighter to hold for a longer period of time. Okay, so back to brushes for a second. I've only had a problem with water when I'm trying to use a 1-inch brush or a giant quill. If your cloth gets soaked really quickly, the brush is probably a bit too big for painting in bed. A 3/4 brush fits in this 4-ounce Nalgene, and a larger flat brush with chunky handle works well for wrist strength issues. You want to avoid tiny brushes with tiny handles that can do detail work, as that's harder on your wrists. I love using the Casaneo, this brush that I'm using, because of the grippy handle and the 1/2-inch brush size. I think it's a size 10. It's got a good size chunky handle because it folds around and closes up on the brush head because it's a travel brush. And so that makes the handle a lot larger than you would get on a normal 1/2-inch brush. Over on the left side of the paper, you can see I have a clothespin. I use that to keep the paper from closing on me and keep that side of the paper out of the way. And then the other side, there's usually like the band that holds the book closed that I'll use on the other side of the paper. I like to use clothespins instead of binder clips or something because they're much easier to get open and use with wrist strength issues. You can see that I have the lid of the paint palette slid under the edge of the book here. And the palette is here in the front. And then I have the book set there. And then here's my travel brush and water container. Those are all the things that you need in order to be able to paint in bed. I stuck the pop socket on the back of my phone into the zipper here on the travel bag that you will have seen in the travel bag video. So I'm sorry if it created a bit of shaky footage, but I wanted you to get a chance to see what it's like to paint in bed and that you can do this. So hopefully you found this helpful and you will go out and get yourself some paint supplies so that next time you are stuck in bed with health challenges or a migraine or whatever, you will be able to paint from bed. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.